All right. Welcome to the first ever ExPack Podcast. My
Yay!
name. I'm Jacob, or Spiffyish, and you are,
I am Dalton.
or something else cool.
Well, if it's League that you know me by, then I'm Dalton.
Still Dalton.
Anything else, I guess it's Damon Bjorn.
Okay.
I guess
all right.
That's the only other alias I have, really.
It's cool. It's cool. All right, and this is just a little podcast talk show about primarily gaming and the world around it, esports, news, yeah, pretty much anything gaming. So I guess to start out, a little bit about us. I've been gaming since I had an NES when I was probably like 8 or so, I want to say. From there to GameCube to Xbox to computer to 360 and everything in between, and now primarily PC gaming. Played pretty much anything under the sun that I can get my hands on. Pretty much enjoyed all of it for the most part. So, yeah. What about you?
For the most part. Well, I was kind of the opposite. I started out with PC. I think the first game I ever played was Doom. My dad was kind of not really too much of a gamer, but he loved to just build and tinker with computers, and that was one game he had on his computer. And I still remember he had one of those joysticks that was just like a stick and 2 buttons.
yeah.
Like super
like
old.
The Atari, practically.
And I was probably like 5, and I think I was sitting in his lap playing Doom. So that's kind of where it started. And then eventually, I always got his hand-me-down computers, and then I got consoles later on in life. I think my first console was a PlayStation, the original PlayStation.
That's fun.
Yeah. I play I'm the same way though. Pretty much play anything and everything.
Oh yeah, it's good stuff. All right, well, to I guess touch on some of the news, some of the stuff that's currently happening. We're at a pretty exciting time, I suppose, coming into fall. Hearing about new games, more games that are coming out as the fall comes and into winter season. Today, specifically, a couple things happened. Far Cry Primal was officially revealed. Yeah, you did. They started the live stream last night. Today is Tuesday, October 6th, by the way. Last night they started a stream that was like cave writings, and I'm like, oh, I wonder what this is going to be. And Dalton says, Far Cry. I'm like, what? No, there's no way. And then today, a Far Cry Primal. I'm like, wow, whatever, dude. So for me, the trailer, all the I don't know, they haven't really showed like they've showed in-game footage, but they haven't really showed gameplay per se, as far as like just straight up uncut someone playing the game, but from reading their description of it and some of the different elements of the game, it sounds pretty interesting to me. I think it's interesting that they're going back in time, because it's kind of been like it's literally just been progressing as time would progress, and then obviously Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon was a little out there, but
did you play Far Cry 4?
I actually did not play the 4th. I haven't played it, no.
See, I was kind of curious about that because I didn't play the 4th one either. I played the first one, obviously, which was an experience.
Yeah,
and,
yeah, definitely.
The second one I kind of touched, not really. My dad bought it, and it was like their time of experimenting, I feel like, with the kind of open worldness. And 3 was actually, I enjoyed that one. Far Cry is not really high up there on my list of games, but it was still a decent game. And I'm just kind of curious because with the first and third one, which is the one I have the most experience with, it always kind of had this campy action movie feel.
Yeah,
I mean, you know what I mean? And I don't know how 4 is, if it's like that or not, but with the direction they're going with this, it's kind of interesting to me to have that setting, because it feels like it's gonna be harder to have that style, which I don't know if they're really known for that being their style. That's just kind of something I noticed was, it was the over the top kind of even the dialogue just can't be crazy.
Yeah. No, definitely. I played the first one. I probably just played a little bit of the campaign. Second one I played a lot, but I mostly played, like, me and my cousin would just mess around with, like, the level editor and, like, stuff like that. Just make as much stuff explode as we could. But the third one I definitely played, and then Blood Dragon was their completely over the top ridiculous.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. I did play a little bit of that too.
Yeah, and I think that was like their pinnacle of, like, I feel like maybe what that was them getting that out of their system so that then they could make this, like, super serious prehistoric game, because I just don't see it having the same atmosphere. Like, supposedly you're able to like come across people, build your tribe, make your tribe stronger, and then try and conquer other tribes. So it seems like it's going to be more of a I guess, I don't know if I'd say, like, I just feel like it's going to be more of a progression style. Like, they want you to, like, instead of just a storyline, like, yeah, there will be a story, but I feel like it's going to be more of a, like, there will actually be vertical progression of how your tribe functions and how, like, everything works and how strong you actually are, which I think will be an interesting aspect. I just think, I don't know if, I kind of wonder if they're piggybacking off the whole, like, Ark, like that kind of thing.
Dinosaurs everywhere, man.
Yeah, like the whole like they're coming back. Like, I feel like video games and movies go through like cycles where, like, so, like, The Walking Dead, H1Z1, Daisy, zombies, and then Jurassic World came out, and now it's like Ark and all this other stuff is, like, at the peak. And I feel like the dinosaurs aren't quite as popular as zombies, because zombies are still just everywhere. But
they have their following. I think the thing with dinosaurs is it's a little more niche, maybe. But I think the main thing is it's like it's not really a horror factor. It's like something different. It's like they have to make an adventure.
It's just intense. Like, it's not really scary, but it's like it'll still definitely get your blood pumping. Like, it's definitely still something to.
Which could make it easier if you think about it, because I feel like a lot of the problems games had with zombies was they never knew, are we making slow scary zombies or are we making fast, let's just slaughter everything zombies? And dinosaurs, it's like, well, they're dinosaurs.
They get the variant because, you know, there's the big ones that are lumbering but they'll still eat you, and then there's, like, the raptors that are fast and they're gonna eat you. Either way, you're probably gonna get eaten. Right. Yeah, I don't know. I think it'll be. I mean, I guess they didn't even really show dinosaurs, huh? They showed, like, mammoths and saber-tooth, but I feel like it's got to come into play somewhere.
You would think if it doesn't, that would be kind of weird, because it's like they got so close to doing that. Like, we're gonna do dinosaurs.
Yeah, they're already cavemen. Like, why not? Right?
I feel like it's gonna be like a later date hype thing, like just like show a T-Rex and everybody.
I feel like that could definitely come into play. I'm just hoping that it's, like, enough content, like, to actually be worth, like, a $60 game. You know what I mean? Like, Ark is really cool because it has so much for what is it? I think it's $30 by default, but it's on sale, like, probably once a month almost. And I feel like that, like, has the whole multiplayer, build your own base, like, you get to do all this stuff, and it's still that kind of, well, although there is, like, futuristic technology later on, like, once you unlock that. But I guess we haven't really seen a good example from a big publisher of a game like this that I can think of.
I almost don't want to compare it, but there was Turok.
That's true, but that's still guns and.
It was so long ago.
I never even really played Turok, to be honest.
I mean, it was okay, but, like, it's in 64 days, like, you know.
Yeah, I mean, they did make a new Turok, but it flopped completely. Because you could literally just run around and knife every single dinosaur and insta-kill it. I remember that.
That sounds like amazing design. Yeah.
It's definitely something. But yeah, I think initial impressions is interested and seems cool. Still kind of teetering on the, not worried, but I guess what is the word? Just not fully convinced, I guess, that it's gonna be fun.
And there's gonna be a lot of people that would agree with me on this, and I know I'm also gonna piss some people off though, but it's really hard for me to like some of these AAA games sometimes.
Yeah.
It just because you know it's gonna be full price, you know they're gonna have DLC, and even if the game's good, like it's close to worth 60, it seems like they always skimp on something, just leaves you wanting more, and that's like their ploy.
Yeah.
And I don't like to rag on them too much because there's still developers behind those big companies that still have to work their asses off, and I have a lot of respect for those people. But even Far Cry, like when Far Cry 4 came out, I literally just had no interest.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I don't know. It's just I'm a little scared that even with the new, like I remember when Far Cry 3 came out and you had like the skill trees that you could pick your different skills and stuff, and it was really cool and everything. But then it was just like kind of shallow, and you just felt like, well, they're probably going to keep this. They're probably going to keep expanding on it, and it's going to be better next time. But you're still having to pay another $60.
And the thing is with stuff like that is like, it's so hard now to come up with original content as far as systems in games go.
Oh yeah.
Because like a skill tree, you want a good skill tree, you're gonna go play Path of Exile, like where you can literally do whatever you want, like something like that. Like it's just these aspects of these games are so hard for them not to copy, but to still have it be good, like that people are gonna want to play it.
So my gripe isn't so much as copying, though. I feel like because it's gonna copy. You're gonna like every.
Yeah, at this point, like pretty much everything has been done.
Yeah,
so.
It's just I feel like if you're gonna take the time to put a system into a game, at least make it feel like fulfilling.
Finished.
Like,
yeah.
Finished.
I mean, I think that's the biggest thing with big games and releases, and from every aspect from initial launch to anything, like we're seeing a lot with MMOs, and it's just things not feeling finished. And I think that's probably one of the biggest complaints that gamers have about especially big games.
Do you think that's due to the transition that games are making into kind of the Hollywood market, to have to rush things out and get it done?
I think that's definitely a big aspect of it. Is we have the blockbuster mentality of, if we don't release this game, then people are gonna be upset that like we haven't given them something, you know what I mean? But at the same time, I feel like, so there's that, they have to have a balance between people want a game and people want a finished product.
Right.
And a lot of them are teetering on that line where like, hey, we're getting this game out and people are gonna enjoy it, but there's still gonna be people that are like, well, like where's this content that we were promised or that should be there, kind of thing.
And you can't please everybody, but
right. Yeah.
I think that's gonna be the biggest thing. Yeah, I actually wanted to kind of touch on that too with a game that came out not too long ago, the new Metal Gear, because I feel like, and I want to try, and this one's kind of hard to talk about because there's like, it's hard to talk about things without spoiling stuff for people, and Metal Gear fans, they do not want anything spoiled. But I feel like they kind of suffered from that a little bit. They suffered from it felt unfinished in a lot of ways, and it left a lot of fans kind of with a bad taste in their mouth, even though if you play that game, that is literally, and I will fight people over this, the best stealth gameplay I have played in years.
Yeah.
But that's,
I haven't had the chance to play it yet, but I believe you from what I've seen. And I guess that kind of transitions into our next thing, which was that Metal Gear Online did launch today. Again, I have not played it. However, you have. And what do you think?
Wow, that actually kind of ties into the unfinished thing too.
Yeah. Okay. So here's, from an outside perspective, not having played it, does it feel like a multiplayer experience, or does it feel like you're taking a single player game and being plucked in with other players?
Honestly, that's one of the good things about it. is the way the single player works. It translates extremely well into multiplayer.
Okay.
Like,
Well, I guess for me, I mean, I've seen. I guess that makes more sense. Hearing that because I kind of forgot about like the progression of like your base and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I guess that does make sense. So I guess that's kind of cool that they're retroactively placing things in single player that can then relate to multiplayer as well.
And this is kind of weird, I know for you as well to talk about, because when you play a multiplayer game, at least for us, we're almost always like going to be into the competitive side of it.
Right.
Like as soon as it comes out, we want to know about it.
Yeah.
Because that's what we have fun playing, and that's not for everyone. And that's the part that I feel is a little bit unpolished on it. Like you can't complain about the mechanics of it really, because it feels just like the single player, which is absolutely amazing. It handles wonderfully. It's great. But matchmaking, there is no matchmaking. It's player hosted servers. And so there's no like real rating. Like they have a ladder, but it doesn't make any sense, because all it does is just place you by like how many points you've made over your career, which if there's no ranking system, your points are basically just made up of, how many points did you get last game. It's not very in-depth. The system for unlocking things is, and again, I haven't gotten very far, but it kind of works the same way, where you can put your attachments on your gun and customize them and everything, but it's kind of like compared to the single player, which is literally you can just take like you can take any gun and mash it with another gun. Like take an AK, put an M4 clip in it, and you change the ammo type. Like you can change everything, and it's not that detailed, which could be argued for balancing purposes. But the game's so casual that I don't really see why that's necessary.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Yeah, it may be the type of thing where this is what they're going to support to make money. So it's going to be a lot of like new content that they put in the game for multiplayer until they can release some sort of expansion for the single player or something. I kind of see that's where it's going. But yeah, I mean, it's fun. It's great. It's not going to be for everybody. I think they could have done better, but they could have also tanked it, which they didn't. So.
Right. Okay. Well, it seems like they put a lot of like thought into how it's actually gonna work. I'm interested, and it doesn't seem like they had any real issues with the initial launch of it. Like,
no, but again,
TBD. Yeah. Okay.
So they didn't really have to worry about that.
Okay, that makes sense. Huh. Yeah, I guess I wonder if that's if they plan. Do you know if they have any plans of doing anything like that?
It's Konami. They don't say anything.
Yeah,
but
okay.
I feel like if they want to extend the life on it, which is something that the MGO2, which I actually played a lot of, it was more competitive, or at least the crowd inside of it was competitive.
Right.
Like it didn't really have like a matchmaking or anything, but it was still. I don't think it did. It's been a while, but I feel like with how many games, Counter-Strike, all these games have matchmaking systems. Like they could implement something extremely simple, and the game's life expectancy would just go through the roof.
Right.
Because that's really what it needs, and dedicated servers, because there's nothing worse than losing a game because you're lagging because your host is terrible.
Yeah. For sure. All right. Well then, next thing I guess, something fairly recent is Capcom. One of the, oh man, now I forgot who it was. One of the, I can't remember if he was a department head or what, basically said, stay tuned for Resident Evil 7. So my thing is that because the reason that they even had to comment on it was because in 2013, a pay stub surfaced from an employee that's had Resident Evil 7 on it. So I'm wondering if this is just them, like
covering their asses.
Yeah, or if like they're actually working on it. I mean, we both have played Resident Evil. We both played it together. We played RE6, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yes, we did. Water. Don't like water levels. I don't like them.
Yeah.
Thankfully, you had to go in the water, not me. But
Odors.
yes, I would be very excited to have another Resident Evil. However, I hope that they don't go the route of Dead Space and make it less scary.
Well, that's Yeah.
Because and I love Dead Space like one of my favorite series. The first one was incredibly intense and scary. Second one was still, it was a little bit less, but it was still super scary and intense and got your blood pumping. Third one just was so lacking in the like actual like fear. Like yeah, there was super intense parts and super trippy parts with, because we played the co-op, so like the visions that you would get and stuff like that freaked me out, but it wasn't the same. Like it wasn't the same like holy crap, I'm gonna die right now like kind of thing. And I think the BioShock suffered the same thing too. Like BioShock 1 scared the crap out of me. BioShock 2 still scared the crap out of me. And then it was just okay, parts of it. I guess not nearly as much though. That's very true. But and then the next one was what is it? Yeah, Infinite. And that's, I mean, it has some like storyline pieces that are like, what the heck, like that's really weird that it scares me, but like not like scary moments really. And so I'm just really hoping that Resident Evil has kind of very, very slowly started to kind of lose some of those aspects. Like just going from 4 to 5, I feel like there was a lot more of the like focus on combat, which is fine because obviously you want the combat to be good, but like I just want those gripping moments like that really get you. Like look at a game like Until Dawn, where that's literally what the whole game is. It's a story, a horror story about scary crap, and that game was phenomenal. I didn't play it, but I watched I've now watched 2 entire gameplays of it because it's that good. And so I think if Resident Evil can pull off something like that with their co-op and combat system working as well as it very well can, I think it would be a great game, and I would definitely be excited for it.
Yeah, Resident Evil's an odd one for me because you mentioned Dead Space, and it's like with Dead Space, it's like it was like the slow burn of kind of, you know, they kind of lost a little bit of the scariness, which I enjoyed 3, but it just wasn't the same type of game. If you wanted the same type of game, you were disappointed. But when you look back at it, you're like, well, it was still fun.
It was great. Part of what made it great though was the new stuff they added, like the crafting. Like I thought the crafting was super cool, and also of course the co-op. So
it felt like a Gears of War game to me.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
And that to me, that I mean, so I did like it. But with Capcom, the thing about them is with Dead Space, it's like they weren't new, but they didn't have the lineage that Resident Evil has. I mean, Resident Evil's been around forever. And I kind of understand them taking a different direction. They saw that people didn't really respond to it that great. And I feel like the reason we haven't seen another one is because they're trying to figure out how they want to take what direction they want to take the game. But with Resident Evil, it's like I would say since the beginning of 4, people were still pretty happy with, because it hit that balance to me. And I think a lot of Resident Evil fans agree that it hit that balance of holy shit scary, but you know, I can take on a horde of guys if I need to, you know. And with 5, it was like the co-op was really good, so people were like, yeah, but it just didn't feel as great. And then 6 was just, it was fun, I guess, but looking back on it, I loathe that game, like I really do, comparing it to other Resident Evil games. Yeah. And they've had all of this time to see people complain about it. They've even come out with Resident Evil Revelations, which is a different, I think it's a different studio, but or I don't even know that for sure, but I'm gonna say it is. And it even has more scary parts to it, and people responded better to it, but it doesn't have the hype as a main game because the characters and everything. But like they have all this proof of here's what will sell a game, here's how we can make money, and here's what people like. Yeah. And they still don't do it. Yeah, definitely. That's the part that confuses me. It's just kind of scary, like, because obviously publishers and stuff, they want to they want to do something new that's potentially refreshing for people, and that makes sense. But I feel like that's where the opportunity for new IPs comes in. But at the same time, obviously there's always worry about a new IP that people just won't pick up on it. So what they can do is they can alter their gameplay just enough, still stick the same name on it,
and people are like, whoa, a new Resident Evil game, I'm gonna pre-order it, I'm gonna pick it up, and then I'm gonna complain about it. And then the publishers still seem to be not necessarily okay with it, but at the same time, like, they're making money, and it's kind of frustrating. But I guess all we can do is just hope that they're keeping more in mind of what the people want. So
that's just the part that just confuses me, because like you said, the making money part of it, I honestly cannot imagine them making more money off of another game like 6 compared to making like another 4.
Right.
You know, they can keep the co-op and they can work that out and they can be fine, but like, I don't know. It's just an odd.
It's just you don't want it to become another Call of Duty where they just slap the Call of Duty franchise on it and people buy it, which is fine for the people that play. No offense to people that play those games. I used to play them. If I had one, I'd probably still play it. I don't have any of them, but it's just kind of become the syndrome of people just automatically buying a game just because it has a name, which is unfortunate. But I guess the other Capcom thing is that they said they don't have any plans for Devil May Cry for another one, which to me is disappointing, because I actually did not play that much Devil May Cry of the early ones. Barely touched them at all. However, DMC, the newest one that came out in 2013, I played the crap out of that game and enjoyed it immensely. I thought the writing, the characters, everything, it just made sense to me. Like, as someone that was pretty much coming in fairly fresh to the Devil May Cry franchise, it felt really comfortable to me. And so I would personally really like them to have the opportunity to make another one. I'm not really sure if I'm surprised. I haven't really looked at sales numbers as far as DMC goes. It's very possible that it just didn't do as well, and so they're not as rushed for another one as they would be with a Resident Evil type game. But I don't know. What do you think?
It's kind of, well, for one thing, there's two things that I'm the wrong person to talk to about that. For one, I only played the older Devil May Cry's and I didn't play them a lot. And for two, that type of game isn't really my cup of tea. But I do know that Devil May Cry has a really good following, and it would be sad to kind of just see something like that disappear.
Yeah,
because you never want a whole genre of the game to disappear, and that's a really big one in that like hack and slash action type game.
Yeah. So I'm almost wondering if this is just them keeping it under the wraps, saying that there's no plans, quote unquote, or if legitimately they just aren't even like worried about it right now, but it's still something in the future. Because I really don't think that they're just being done with it. I really don't. I feel like because of the stay tuned for RE7 thing, I feel like that's their focus right now. As well as they've been they're showing the next Street Fighter, right?
Yeah, there's
they've been showing that,
which is their moneymaker.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. So I feel like they just have their focuses on other things, and we could still probably see it in the future. I guess we could probably hope for that. So yeah. Another recent was the Witcher 3 expansion did come out. And
wait, is it out?
No, it's not out yet.
I thought that was next week.
It's not out yet. That's right. I'm sorry. Is coming out. Sorry.
Don't scare me like that, man. I was about to open up Steam and
sorry, no.
Get the wallet out.
I got it confused with the other one, but so this is the first Witcher 3 expansion.
Yeah, first expansion, not
first
really
actual expansion, right? So I guess because I haven't played The Witcher 3, I've only played the first and second. How much are you like actually looking forward to this? Not just like hype, but like the actual like content that it's adding.
Let me tell you something. When we've been talking about all these other game developers, you could put any game developer in front of me. I don't care who it is, and none of them would live up to what Project Red has done with their company. Like, straight up, I respect those guys way more than anybody else in the scene right now. They are absolutely amazing. I will throw money at them for pretty much anything they put out. And when The Witcher 3 came out, I was kind of scared, I guess, because I loved The Witcher 2. The Witcher 1, I mean, it was great, but it's an old game.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Witcher 2 was great, but it was one of those games. I can't really think of another one that comes to mind right off the bat, but one of those where you finish it and you wanted more. You wanted to have anything just to get more story out of it.
Right.
And then they announced The Witcher 3 and they announced this open world and all this stuff, and I'm like, that sounds amazing, but normally when companies do this, it can be real bad real quick. And that game delivered. Like, it's probably my game of the year. I mean, it is absolutely phenomenal. And then they came out and said all our DLC is free until the expansions, and then they priced the expansion, and it's like the first one's supposed to be 10 hours of story, just story gameplay time, for what was it, $10 or something?
I'm not even sure.
I'm not even sure what it is because I don't care. I'll still buy it. But it's like that is absolutely amazing. And this game cost them, like, I think I saw something like it cost like millions and millions of dollars to make, and they're just like, have it, just eat it up. And they deliver on everything. Like, even the bugs when the game came out, they patched them. They're just, I can't speak highly enough of those guys. And if you haven't played The Witcher 3, play it. Like, if you like any sort of RPG, like the Mass Effect games or Dragon Age, or it's almost Skyrim level. So I mean, it has tons to sink your teeth into. I'm doing the New Game Plus playthrough. The first playthrough took me, I think I had 78 hours on the first playthrough, which, I mean, that's your money worth right there.
Right. Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And just with the second playthrough, I've already uncovered like a plethora of things that I never even touched on the first playthrough. And on top of being able to take different paths and branches and everything, like it's worth it. And a lot of people are scared of I haven't played The Witcher 1 or 2, blah blah blah. It's still worth it. Like, there are some things that you'll kind of be a little lost on story-wise, but it does a pretty good job of catching you up. So where, like, within a couple hours, you're like, okay, I feel like I know what's going on.
Right. So
it is an amazing game, and I believe the expansions will deliver 100%. And
so it is a primarily story-based expansion then?
Yeah, well, it's from what I've read, this one is the smaller of the two expansions they have planned. And this one takes part, like, you don't have to finish the game to play it, so it's not going to be main story driven. Right. It's kind of like, because in the game you have your main story quests, and they tend to always branch out into multiple side quests, which are optional, but they feel like a story quest. They're not like, go pick this flower and bring it to me. Right. And it's supposed to be just basically like another storyline that's off happening to the side of the main one that you can play and enjoy. And it comes, they said it was going to come with new mechanics too, like ways to customize your character and stuff, and expansions on the skill tree. So it's not purely story. Like, it does offer some gameplay changes.
So we're probably thinking closer to like a Borderlands type expansion, or like say with the Tiny Tina, where it's like a separate storyline kind of thing with more stuff. So
the one thing about this one, which I do know some people were disappointed in, I didn't really mind it that much. It doesn't expand on the map as far as, like, you're not going to a new region, right? Which isn't really a big deal, because as soon as you play the game, you realize it's massive. Huge, yeah. So they're just kind of putting stuff into the game, and you're going to play around with that. The second expansion, which is supposed to be the more expensive one that adds like 20-something hours of gameplay, so they say, is the one that will add another region, which, is also a lot of hype. But I don't really think that's a drawback. I think that was smart of them. It's like they made a playground that was so big already. we can just plug stuff into it,
Right.
and the map's varied enough, and it's I don't think that'll be a problem. But yeah, I would say it's like a Borderlands expansion, except it doesn't add a entirely new zone.
Okay.
I think it may. I mean, I'm pretty sure it does add like places in the zone. Like it's not just going to be like you go to the exact same spot.
Right.
But yeah.
Okay. Cool. Well, it sounds like it's definitely something like considerable as far as an example for an expansion or DLC in general. Because I feel like a lot of the time the single player games like that, their DLC or expansions or whatever you want to call them, are often lacking. So I'm excited to see how that pans out and to hear from you as far as how it pans out. All that to say, MMOs are most well known for their expansions. As we know, World of Warcraft expansion is coming again, another one next year. What's it called again?
Legion.
I was gonna say something with Legion, but I don't think I was gonna say it.
Which really
right,
annoys me. Can I just say that? The fact
You
that they just named
definitely
it Legion, like Burning Crusade and Legion, like they're so, in my mind, they're so similar because if you've played the games, you
because
see
of
the
the
enemies.
Burning Legion.
You just want to call this one Burning Crusade 2. Like you just straight up do. Like
Yeah. However, that's not even what we're really going to talk about. Just side tangent. But recently, MMOs. So we had WildStar just relaunched last week. Their free-to-play model, and has gotten off to a booming start. So much so that their servers haven't been able to handle it. But they're doing everything that they can. I mean, they've added more servers along with free server transfers. For as long as pretty much they're having problems, so that then you can transfer your characters to a new server if you need to be able to actually play, which is really cool. I think that's a really great way to do it, so that people don't just have to start off fresh. I really like WildStar. I mean, we both played it a little bit. I mean, we haven't gotten into end game, but I think it's a really good example of how, like, because they just realized that it just wasn't working, that their payment plan wasn't, like, it just wasn't bringing the crowd that it wanted to, because so many games are like that. And so they did a relaunch, which some people are completely like hate that a game would even do that, because you should do it right the first time, whatever. But I would so much prefer a game and a studio and a publisher to realize that what they have isn't working, and to then remedy that. And I'm excited to see how it grows and everything like that. I think it's probably, for me, one of the better MMOs out there right now. It's definitely it's a fairly typical sandbox MMO. Combat is more varied than like a World of Warcraft. You're not typically gonna just select something and then cast skills. It's primarily skill shot based. PvP is super fun. The storyline is great. Voice acting is really good and also hilarious. I would definitely, I think right now it's right up there with Guild Wars 2 for me as far as like just games I want to play. I think Guild Wars 2 is still one of my favorite MMOs out there. I'm not really sure like if World of Warcraft right now for me would be something I would want to invest time in. Just right now, I just don't feel like there's that much like to be offered.
Now, no.
I think once the expansion comes out, it will make sense again to play. Pretty much happens with every expansion, but we'll see. I think the new class looks really fun, but that's just me.
I'm gonna be the polar opposite side of you here, and I'm just kind of disgusted with MMOs in general right now. And I love MMOs, but it's one of the few things in gaming, I think, where they we were talking about innovation and recreating a series, or like, man, I understand how much it takes to make an MMO, keep it running, and to work on everything. I get it, but geez, we need some innovation in the MMO world. And every game that has innovation, they always do. It's like, this is great, and then it's this. And the other game has that, but they just can't ever meet. It can never be the perfect.
Right.
There's never there. I have yet to see a game of an MMO where I'm just like, oh my god, they've nailed it finally. Like they got it. And that, you know, I love WoW. I still love WoW to an extent. It's just WoW's the type of thing where you know what you're getting.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely.
I love raiding. It's fun getting on raiding with friends, and you have like 3 months worth of content, and you unsub. That's the reality of it. You're not gonna keep playing like you used to, where it was just like, now I can make a new character. Like that doesn't really happen, to me at least. WildStar, I'm not really sure how I feel about it. I like it. It's like it has just enough that's different, so it doesn't feel like WoW. It's still just not quite innovative enough for me to be like, you know, it's an amazing MMO. And they could change it later. I mean, if they tweak some things, and, you know, if it has good raid content, like that's a big selling point, because since it is that WoW framework, I feel like that's what really sells it.
Right.
Like that's what made WoW amazing. And you mentioned Guild Wars. Like, again, Guild Wars, I basically love everything about that game. The customization, the classes, the combat. I love everything about that game, but there's no raiding. There's no PvE in-game fun content. So, like, that's my drawback from that, but I do still love that game. But, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's kind of, like, the issue. So, Guild Wars 2 has amazing PvP. That's my favorite part of the whole game, is both the open world PvP and then the structured PvP as well. And so, but the cool thing about it is that it's free. So I get free end-game PvP that I can just play whenever I want. I love that. World of Warcraft has, you know, good PvP. I enjoy it for when I do play it. But however, I would not pay $15 a month to play PvP.
Nope.
When it's you know, it's cookie cutter PvP. WildStar is free. Haven't gotten into any of the big raids or anything like that. But it's I would like to see how they're if they're planning on doing any regular releases as far as new content for endgame goes, because obviously that's the biggest pull for games like that is endgame. You played Final Fantasy XIV. I have not. I hear that it's still good.
It's good.
Okay.
I don't really have a lot to complain about with the game, but it kind of, again, comes down to innovation. Their crafting system's amazing. The classes are more interesting than a lot of MMOs. The only 2 real complaints I have about that, like, the raids are good, or I don't know what they're called, but the in-game content, whatever you want to call it, they're good. My biggest problem with that game when I played it, which was before the expansion, so I don't know, it lacked a lot of customization, which I think is kind of big in MMOs.
Yeah.
Another reason I love Guild Wars.
Yeah. Aesthetics are everything.
Yeah. And it also, which another thing Guild Wars does right, and even WoW to an extent, like customization, not just the way you look, but it was like when you're a Dragoon, you're a Dragoon. Like, you have the same skill set as every other Dragoon.
Right.
You know, you can tweak it in little ways to make your Dragoon the best Dragoon, but you're still gonna cast Skyfall and everything that the other guy does, which means there's no PvP in that game. Like, I'm sorry, but people that say they PvP in that game, like, it's a joke to me, because it's like, again, there's a Dragoon, you're a Dragoon, you both just fly at each other and you're done. Like, whoever hits the button first. And so, I mean, it's a good PvE game, and it's pretty as all get out. I mean, it's gorgeous.
Right.
And the zones are they're pretty, but you realize how small they are pretty quick. Like, they're remember Guild Wars 1?
Yeah.
Where they were kind of like you're caged in, like you just take a path.
Yeah.
Pretty much like that. You know.
Yeah, I think, okay, so I just real quick, we're saying all this. I've been playing MMOs since RuneScape made the transition from classic to the next one, I guess. Not even the newest, but like that first transition from like literally the top down to the new one. Like, I've been playing since then, and I've played the smallest probably one of the most basic. I played that game a ton because it had super fun like late game PvP. I mean, we've played. Let's see. So I played WoW in Vanilla, and then played again in Lich King, and then again in Warlords of Draenor. We've played Terra Online. I've played Aura Kingdom. I've played I used to literally just peruse onrpg.com and just find free to play MMOs and just try every single one until I found one that I could sink, 2 months into, and then I would transition to the next one, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I think Guild Wars 1 was one of my most played ones.
Definitely.
Freaking love the crap out of that game. Guild Wars 2 was an excellent successor to it. I love the varieties that you get out of Guild Wars 2, and we're gonna touch on the Heart of the Thorns. I guess we could talk a little bit about it now. It's their next expansion that's coming out, and they're adding even more variants and customizations and a new class and new systems that is just going to improve their game a lot, and I think it looks really, really cool. I'm pretty excited for it. And I think that that's probably the biggest thing that people, I know for me personally at least, is looking for variety. When I play WoW, even if I am making a new character, I pretty much know what to expect going into it, and yeah, you can have different specs and stuff like that. But I'm still gonna go on to what is that website called? Icy Veins, right?
Oh yeah, or
Noxic or whatever, and look up a build. I'm going to, and for Guild Wars 2, a lot of the time I'm gonna look for stuff on their meta as far as that goes, because just because of it, because me being a lazy personality, I don't have to do all the number crunching when there comes a patch and they change how a condition damage works,
right,
or a cleanse works, or a heal works. Then I can go onto a website and be like, oh, well, this is meta. Okay, I just have to change out one ability or one trait or whatever. But with Guild Wars, every weapon you use is a different skill set, and I think that's really cool. And I think that that's something that certain, I don't know, MMOs might be able to learn from. I'm not really sure if we played Elder Scrolls Online in the beta. They have been touching on their expansion. It supposedly is going to add 20 hours of gameplay as far as this storyline goes, which is interesting to me that they're timing it.
Odd.
But I guess it makes sense for an Elder Scrolls game. That it just never really caught my attention. I love the Elder Scrolls universe. Never caught my attention. I think it's even free to play now, but I just don't see myself going out of my way to play it.
It's like Guild Wars. You have to buy the game and then it's free.
Okay. Yeah, I don't see, right now, I haven't heard, or I don't see any MMOs coming out that's a new one that can compete with these big ones now. I just don't with another World of Warcraft expansion coming out, it's just so hard. And their subs have been dropping rapidly, at a current, just steady rate, just been dropping, and
it's damn near a nosedive.
Which sucks for them, but they just gotta figure something out. I mean, Blizzard is doing fine.
Honesty,
they're having Overwatch come out, so
yeah. And in all honesty, I don't think it does. The only thing about that would suck is if whoever's working on the World of Warcraft side of Blizzard, if they lose jobs, because that's the only
right. Yeah.
Besides that, that being said, the sooner WoW dies, the sooner they'll replace it.
Yeah.
And I have no problem with that. That's positive.
Yeah, it's really interesting to me that it has survived so long, and they've done retextures and expansions, obviously, and things like that, but I really did, I was super skeptical about the Guild Wars 2.
Yeah.
But I think that it was a really great way for them to say, okay, this is all this stuff that happened in this game. We're going to take these pieces of it, and we're going to add all this new stuff, and boom, a new world has emerged, and it's Guild Wars 2. And I think that was actually a super good way to do it.
And that's why I have hype for the expansion, and then at the same time I have a smidgen of doubt. And it's nothing against them, because I do think they created an amazing game, but I remember the first time playing Guild Wars 2, the story had me just as... I don't want to say the story, just the entire environment, the world building they did. It had me enthralled, and it made the PvE, like, fun.
Right.
But because of the way it's set up, I wouldn't want to do it more than... I've done it twice, and I wouldn't really want to do it again, because
right.
it feels very lengthy and drawn out. With the new expansion, I hope that they have a way to build on the world and reward players with some sort of, projected climb that like shows you put in the effort to do it, but it's not necessarily like you're just continuing the same story, because if they keep doing that, it is going to get really drawn out.
No, totally.
Because an MMO is still an MMO. Like, they did a good job with it, but when they did their living world stuff, the cosmetic rewards were cool and everything, and I liked it. But at the same time, I'd like to see some things like in the future, when they do a big patch, let's see some, crazy weapon skins and stuff. But at the same time, let's see maybe release a new, those, what are they calling them? The new specs, whatever.
Right. Yeah, I forgot what they're called as well. But
new masteries or whatever it's called. Like, let's see like a bigger chunk of story, maybe a big map, and you have to play through it, and then you get your new ranger, skill set. It doesn't even need to be a new weapon type, just like maybe replace the greatsword with a different type of greatsword weapon set, so that people can see like, okay, it's kind of like that playing RuneScape. You remember like if you want to use ancient magics, you had to do the super hard quest, so everybody that did it was like, I did it, I got ancient magics. I want that feeling again from an MMO. I don't just want to like, here's expansion, hit level cap and go. Like that sort of like, it's story driven and you get a badass reward for it. Like,
I feel like the user friendly aspect of MMOs has gotten in the way. Like, I don't want to say quote unquote hardcore gamers, but people that like difficulty. Like, there was a lot of stuff in in single player games where like you have to go through hell to like get something that is really rewarding, like an achievement or whatever. And there is definitely stuff like that in MMOs, in World of Warcraft, in Guild Wars, and I'm assuming in WildStar. However, I feel like even the new things that are coming out are becoming easier, so that people will be more willing to buy it. So say if an expansion comes out and they buy it and they see it's super easy to get this endgame content that they like really a lot, then when the next one comes out, they're more likely to buy it. You know what I mean? Because it just makes sense, which is fine, and if that's their selling point, that's fine. A game like Guild Wars, for me, brings me back because of the replayability of PvP and reward tracks and things like that, and since they're adding more progression to endgame with the expansion, I think that'll help a lot. So yeah, I think MMOs in general, I think we're seeing kind of a healthy movement away from World of Warcraft. No, like, nothing against World of Warcraft. I have enjoyed it for years. But I think we're seeing a healthy, I guess, resurgent in other MMOs with, expansions and relaunch and
I'd compare like it to single player games too. Look at how many open world games we're getting now.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes they mess it up and it doesn't really work, but for the most part, I do enjoy when a game opens up like that. So if we could see that same sort of evolution from MMOs to where there's kind of like, I don't want to say new standard, because like I said, I think MMOs are the type of game where they should be the most creative they can. But still, let's stop copying WoW. I said it. Let's just stop.
Oh, what was that one game called that we tried? Something to do with runes. Rune something. It wasn't RuneScape. It was something else, but like, it was literally just a WoW clone, and I'm so tired of seeing that. I'm so tired of it.
Rift.
Well, yeah, Rift was one. That's true. But that's not the one I'm thinking of. I can't remember what it's called. Anyways, that's pretty much it as far as like news lately, I guess, or at least major. So esports, we're at an interesting time right now as far as League of Legends goes. World championships are going on. It's very interesting outcomes so far. It's are we 2 weeks?
I'm not a betting man.
Right.
Yeah.
Are we a week or two? 2 weeks. This weekend was the second weekend.
I think so.
NA is performing. You heard it here.
Yeah. The worst part about it is it's our worst team that's performing.
Yeah.
We
so
don't even know what's happening.
Cloud9 is 3-0. And it's not a fluke. They did beat Fnatic, although it was close. Ball's got a penta on Darius.
What season is this again?
Mordekaiser is getting banned.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't like Cloud9 personally. I don't like them. I don't like.
No offense to them out there, but I don't either. So.
Yeah, I don't. If you're a Cloud9 fan, good for you. They're doing great. I'm proud that an NA team is actually doing pretty well so far. There's still a lot to go. I don't like their organization or their players. I think Balls is funny. That's about it.
Hey, he's from my hometown, Rip.
There you go. CLG was 2-1. They were doing really good. They are. I mean, I still think that they're looking really strong. TSM is 1-2. Not looking as strong, although they did beat LGD, which is one of the other interesting things. LGD is 0-3. Lemonation is saying that China's ban pick phase, every Chinese team, their ban pick phase has been horrendous. However, he thinks that they're going to be fixing it, which I think is pretty obvious that they would want to fix it after messing up so much.
Especially something that simple.
Origin is 3-0 with their rookie AD carry. How do you pronounce it? Is it Niles? Niles?
I think it's
Niles. Is it Niles?
I don't know. They
something
say
like that.
Accent,
yeah,
so,
something like that. And he's performing really well. Peke is back, and it's. I mean, I don't know if they're a better team than Fnatic, but I think they're right up there as far as EU teams go.
Did you watch the EU LCS much?
No, not towards the end of the season. No.
I watched quite a bit of it, and I can honestly say, like, if Origin and Fnatic both make it, we really need to be afraid of Europe.
Yeah.
Like, if they can fix the little problems they have, both those teams are absolute monsters. And that it's kind of for the same reasons, I guess. I would say Fnatic's a little more. I would compare them to like the TSM. They're pretty solid. Like when they get things right, it looks right. You know what I mean? The communication, everything's down. It looks great. Origin, they're the playmakers, I feel like. And I haven't watched Worlds when they played, so I don't know how well they did. But watching ULCS, if they play like that, I mean,
yeah, they've definitely been. I mean, we've already been seeing the resurgence of the Peke plays and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then of course, no surprise, SKT is 3-0. They played. What was that? Was that Pain that they did Olaf mid, or who was that against?
I don't think it was Pain.
It was the other Brazilian team, BKT. That's who it was. Right?
Okay.
Is it a BKT? I think that's what it is. I'm so sorry. I'm butchering this.
But is BKT the Bangkok Titans?
Yeah, Bangkok Titans. That's what it is. Never mind. It wasn't a Brazilian team. I'm stupid. But, I mean, they're... Oh, wow, voice crack. That's fun. They're being SKT. My thing is this year we don't have... I just don't... Like, we don't have another powerhouse team like Samsung White last year was the team that like was the end all get all like kill SKT kind of thing. Yep. We don't really have a team like that this year. KT is doing okay. Ku is not doing that great. And
I mean, they're 2-1, but they didn't.
Yeah,
really.
I just don't really see. Like I think that teams can beat them, absolutely. I just don't really know if, when it comes down to a best of 5,
it's gonna be hard.
Like, I don't know, like Shoot, what was that Chinese team that was in season 3? Oh my goodness, I can't think of their name. I'm just blanking. Yeah, season 3 was in the finals against SKT.
Oh, that was a. Wow.
Yeah, I can't even. I'm just blanking. But like that was like super close. Like they held their own, and it just still wasn't quite enough. And I mean, there's absolutely no way that SKT isn't making it out of groups. Let's be honest. Their group isn't even that difficult as far as the groups go. So I think I don't want to like jinx it or anything, but I feel like they would have to match up against one of the EU teams to get kicked out of either quarter or semis. Yeah. Otherwise, I definitely see them going to finals, which wouldn't be a huge surprise to anyone. I think that it's not really the same thing as every world so far. We're seeing some switches and things turn. It'll be interesting to see how it progresses farther, for sure.
We've had upsets, which is already an improvement. Was it last Worlds or the one before that? It was just like telegraphed, like you knew.
Oh yeah. Predictions were pretty much all correct. But I mean, personally, I want to see TSM do better, but we'll see.
I think they'll pick it back up.
I think that they're getting the ball rolling now after they beat Fnatic. They're probably pretty hyped, so it'll be interesting. But yeah, that's the main things in League of Legends right now. I can't think. Let's see. Well, supposedly Xpecial is not going to be on Liquid anymore. That's kind of what he said, because Imp doesn't like him, and so the management decided that they would rather get rid of him than get rid of Imp, essentially.
Wait.
Not Imp. Piglet. I'm sorry, Piglet.
I was about to say.
Wrong guy. Yeah, Piglet. Sorry. So I mean that'll be interesting to see who they pick up. Yeah, I don't know. Liquid was looking really good, really good. And I like them more than most teams in the LCS.
I
like Quas a lot. Quas is awesome.
I respect Quas for how he made it in the scene, and I respect him for how hard he tries and how well he plays. Yeah. But, well, I can't. You know what? I can't even talk because I'm a CLG fan, and that's we just wait for them to throw. We just wait for them to throw.
I mean, I'm a TSM fan. I respect CLG, especially bot lane. I respect Liquid for Quas and Piglet, obviously. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see after Worlds what happens.
So if you had to make a top 3 pick, excluding Telecom, because they're already in the top 3 guaranteed, pretty much. I hate to say that, but it's.
I think my top 3 would be. I don't know. I still kind of think KT will be able to bring it back. To like actually become, like really do like perform. I think KT, Origin, and Fnatic, honestly, would probably be the ones that I would pick to get going far. I think finals will be SKT and Fnatic.
Okay,
that's what I think.
Personally, it's. I want to put Fnatic up there, but it's really hard for how they've been playing recently. But I feel like they should be able to bring it back. I would put probably KT, Origin, and I feel like I need to pick an N18.
Do you know?
This is how I see it going.
I mean, I would love to put TSM in that list, but I don't know right now. It's difficult.
Cloud9 is gonna trip. They're gonna trip.
I also believe that.
I don't care who it's against, but they're gonna have a game soon where they're gonna trip, and it's gonna mess them up bad. Counter Logic Gaming, as much as I love them, it's gonna go one of two ways. As soon as they start losing momentum, they're gonna crash and burn. So out of those 3, I would still put TSM probably as like my 3rd slot for NA. Like if they get up there, just because out of all the NA teams, they're the ones that can pull it together the best.
Yeah, I feel like, and not just as a fanboy, but I think that if I was to pick one of them to make it out of groups, if it was only one, I think that CLG could make it out of groups. But I think TSM is probably the most consistent as far as, like, they just know how to, like, rally and just come back and just make it happen. Like, they make it work for the most part. So
as far as groups go, honestly, Counterlogic should get out of their group.
I think they should. I think they should as well. I mean, C9 could as well. I mean, I think Cloud9 could as well. It would just be... Wait, who are they? Who's in their... Wait, are they in the same group with SKT?
No. They're with Invictus and
right. Okay.
HQ. HQ won't do anything.
Yeah, I think they probably will make it out of groups. So that should be interesting. We'll see as far as that goes. But for right now, we've had some interesting upsets and whatnot. So, and then in Counter-Strike, it's mostly just minor stuff going on right now. TSM has been whooping butt in Counter-Strike, and I love to see that because I'm a fan of TSM, the whole organization. And I think their CSGO team is incredible. And yeah. Envious, of course, doing well. Titan still performing. NIP and Virtus have been kind of teetering. Like, they're still doing well, but they're getting some pretty, like, teams are getting convincing wins on them for sure.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that turns up. Like, I guess if they make any changes, and then as far as the next major goes. But the biggest thing right now, I think, in Counter-Strike is... So, betting. Betting is somehow, it's like kind of under the radar, but not really. Like, it's becoming this big thing. I feel like it started more as far as the betting on teams and on majors and things like that. But now it's just turned into this gambling, right? Where you can bet your skins and things like that. And I've done it. Like, I'll admit, I've done it. I think I have a pretty addictive personality, so I got to be careful. But the biggest thing, though, is the young people that are playing Counter-Strike. There is a big crowd of people that are, high schoolers, they're under 18. Technically, gambling is illegal for them, and they're seeing these streamers and they're seeing these big names in Counter-Strike betting and gambling. And is this detrimental to these kids? Are they going to look at this and be like, oh, well, this is okay? Like, and then does that open the opportunity for them to then get into other types of gambling and betting?
I don't.
Simply because. So here's where I stand on this. I don't really think it's as big of a deal. However, I do, like, I've read about people, like, legitimately losing a lot of money, like actual money. Yeah. And that sucks. I think it's okay for the most part because most people that are doing that, like, they're just, you get some skins and some drops, you unbox a few cases, you spend $10, $15, and then you bet it and you try and get more. Sometimes people are successful, they win a ton, like a huge pot, and it's super cool. Sometimes you lose out, but then it's okay. It's like, well, and as the thing is, though, is that people get to that point where it's like, oh crap, I lost, now I have to try again. And then when people start to just straight up, all right, I'm going to buy $50 of skins just so I can bet it. Now that's where I feel like it becomes a problem. So I think I don't know how I feel about people doing it on, like, big time streams. I know some of the streamers I watch have done it. I mean, it's entertainment and people enjoy it. I don't know where it really fits in as far as I don't know. It's just an interesting phenomenon, I guess, now that it's become so big.
See, my problem with it, honestly, the part that bugs me the most isn't so much that how it would affect young kids too much. I'm kind of the mind to say, first of all, if you're that young and you're buying, I mean, they have to start as money you put into Steam for skins at some point.
Yeah.
Where the hell are they getting this much money? I mean, you can't blame the game company for that. You can't, but you can't. But now, see, it's weird because there's so many pieces of companies and media that is involved in this. Like, you can look at the way that Steam isn't really regulating any of it. They don't really care, or they don't seem to. But then, on the other hand, you have like Twitch, who is known for pretty much censoring whatever they can. I mean, it's just the truth. And yet, they don't care about gambling on their streams. And I feel like a pretty quick way to take care of that is, well, don't show gambling on your streams. You can get in trouble. But it's just there's so many people involved in this. It's like people are going to do what they want to do either way. And as far as influencing the younger crowd, I don't know how much that really can affect them, because I don't feel like gambling anymore is something that's like alien to kids, especially if they're already old enough to get on the internet and stuff. Right. It's an easy way for them to start doing it a lot earlier, which I guess can be a bad thing, but I don't know. I think it all comes back to like Counter-Strike doesn't even have a rating, does it? Or like a
I don't think I don't like MSRP. I don't think, or not. What am I saying?
ESRB?
That,
is that what it's
that one, MSR.
Like,
yeah, I don't think so. I'm not sure.
Not only is that system completely pointless now because we can buy everything digitally, but
right.
It's like I just don't understand, like, as far as kids getting this money, like, I'm sorry, but that falls on the parents. Because the only other way they're going to get that money is if they go to Walmart and they put down $50 in cash, or get their parents to literally buy the card. Otherwise, they're taking their parents' credit card and putting the number in.
Yeah.
And like, it's not all on the parents, but if you're losing that much money on that, it's literally your own fault. And if your kid's taking your credit card and doing all that, you probably should be keeping a close eye on your credit cards.
Yeah.
Like, so as far as the losing money, that part I think is just on the people that are doing it. I don't believe in regulating that in any way, shape, or form. I do, however, think it's kind of questionable when like streamers do it on stream all the time. It's kind of, anybody can get on Twitch and look at that, and there's no way for them to censor that unless Twitch does it themselves.
Yeah.
And I think it for the streamers themselves, it kind of sheds a bad light on the gaming community in general, because there's two levels of it. There's the fun, I just put a couple skins in and get a couple back, and then but you see the streamers doing it and they're making like Steam bank off
or
that.
losing one of the two,
or losing it. But I mean,
thousands of dollars going into it. So yeah, it's definitely interesting. And I think in the end, it does come down to like as an adult, like you should be able to make that choice, like to either do it or not, and like if it's a good decision or not. And kids will learn one way or another. So
I guess that's what I was trying to say. Like, if you're an adult, it falls on your head, whatever the outcome is. And if it's a kid, it's not any of these companies' job to censor shit for your kid. I think that falls on the parents' head, pretty much. Okay. Like, your kid's playing those games. Right, your kid's using your credit card.
Or you should.
Or you definitely should.
Yeah,
because if there's
one way or another, you should figure it out.
Yeah. But it's a weird time for that. The other thing I want to touch on real quick is the part that I think sheds very, very badly on the gaming community is, remember when we had all the professionals betting on games?
Yeah.
With that?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
That shit is completely unacceptable.
Yeah.
In my opinion, as far as.
And I forgot about this. One of the people that was banned from Counter-Strike, like I can't remember, was it supposed to be a permanent or if it was just a suspension, has recently picked up a team and is managing a team, and he was one that rigged matches. Like, he straight up rigged matches with other people, and I think that's very interesting that they're allowing someone like that back into the competitive scene. I understand things like I Will Dominate, or Incarnation, where they were BM or they were just idiots, and they've matured. Well, I feel like they've matured, and so they like make the choice now not to be bad sport. Being a bad sport is one thing. Rigging matches to make money is like, that's, if that happens in a like the NFL or something like that, like you're never gonna touch a football again. Yeah. So for me,
Gate, that wasn't even thinking. Yeah. Explosion.
And so I mean, obviously, and they are treating those like a big deal, and we haven't seen as much in a while, I believe. I feel like those should be taken even more seriously, that if someone does that, then they shouldn't be allowed back in the scene, regardless of how important they were or how good they were or anything like that.
Yep.
And I think that it not only is it just ridiculous, it's also like a really bad example, because like gaming is reaching such a younger crowd, and these people are lying and cheating in a, you know, to make money and for a professional sport, and kids are seeing that and they see the cheating and they're like, oh, well, maybe I can cheat in my games, and they get the hackers and things like that. But
it all trickles down.
Yeah. So definitely that's a good point. And then apart from that, so G2A is a website company that sells games for lower prices, essentially. And they've been under a lot of fire for having, well, for one thing, selling codes that didn't work, essentially, and also for having links on their site and sponsors on their site for League of Legends botting, as well as I think some other botting as well. But basically, Riot has banned G2A from sponsoring teams because of the botting ads, and now they're asking players and organizations to remove the logos from their jerseys, completely get rid of them. And I think this is really interesting. I feel like it's kind of a power play from Riot, because they can, basically. I think it might be a little bit unnecessary. I feel like G2A can just remove that crap and it'll be over with. But I think at the end of the day, Riot will probably find something else to complain about, because they can. At this point, like, once, I feel like with big companies, like, once they've made this argument, like, they're gonna keep hammering it in until they get what they
set
want,
a standard,
kind of thing.
like, yeah. They're not gonna back off of it.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think it does make sense, because obviously, like, they're advertising something that's breaking their game, and that's stupid.
It's interesting, I think. If I was in Riot's place, the first thing I would have done was contacted G2A in whatever means I could, and ask them more politely, because they don't want to ruin any sort of income coming into their scene.
Right.
So that's kind of a bad business play off the bat.
Which they could have done, because we don't know what goes on behind the scenes, but from what it looks like is that it's more of a direct, like, all right, well, we're done with G2A, and then now everybody else needs to as well.
In my opinion, though, if they did that, or if they even attempted, which I kind of doubt they did, but let's say they did, what they did was probably the best move they could have made. Being that aggressive when you're that big of a company, to me, is a good thing.
Yeah.
But I think you should always be reasonable first.
Right.
And the fact that they probably cut off a source of income for not only the teams, but for everything, like, that's bad if they did that. But if they did say, like, hey, you know, we don't support this and we can't be affiliated with you if this is what you're going to advertise on your site, you know, we're done. But, you know, if they I can't imagine why G2A would ever do that, because, I mean, they don't want to be, you know, they want to put their name out there.
Right.
So, yeah, I would say, again, I'm not a betting man, but if I was, that Riot just made a power play because they have all the money in the world, and they can.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. It's definitely interesting, and I've never been on G2A. I'm not really sure, but I'd be kind of curious to see if they've made any changes. But
I don't really want to support them, to be 100% honest.
They're sponsoring a lot of people, like a lot of streamers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And
tons of streamers.
Yeah, a lot, and which is fine. Like, obviously, they're probably approaching these streamers. I doubt that the streamers are going out of their way to find this sponsorship, because they know that it'll bring traffic. So it works for them.
I just, excuse me. I feel like it's that weird thing of you hate to see the blockbuster games that aren't any good and keep supporting them, but at the same time, I sometimes I even feel bad at Steam sales paying dirt cheap for a really good game if it's if it's worth it.
Right.
You know, like again, going back to The Witcher, like paying full price for that game, I felt good about doing that afterwards. And that's kind of what I miss. And, like, you know, like you buy this game and you love this game and you love who made it and you're proud that you paid. Like, you felt like you spent your money well. And I feel like buying games, some of their prices are extremely low on G2A. And it's just kind of like, I'm kind of, for one, it's sketch, but for two, I'm just like, that game's worth more than that.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
But I mean, if it's a Steam sale and it's like $5 off, then yeah, my morality goes out the window, and I just want to get it cheap. Like that's.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So apart from that, I just wanted to touch on betas.
Like
there's there's a lot of betas going on right now, actually. Star Wars, Guild Wars betas. What else? I'm trying to think.
Rainbow Six. Is
yeah,
that
Rainbow
still
Six.
beta?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I mean, those are the big ones. I think that we're seeing. The main thing that bothers me with certain betas is the exclusivity. So the type where you have to pre-order to get it.
God, yeah.
I think that betas should be open to everyone. I like that it can almost be used as a demo for people to see if they will want to purchase the game. I think it would make people more willing to purchase the game. Obviously, you're going to lose out on pre-orders, but I feel like that's actually a small amount of the income from the games. I think, so Guild Wars is doing beta weekends, or has been doing beta weekends for their Heart of the Thorns expansion. And it is including the class variants as well as the new class, and you can instantly create a character that is level 80 to be able to test out those characters. However, you have to pre-order it to be able to do this. That is unfortunate to me. However, I think they're doing something really good to kind of combat that, and that is normal people still get to play with those, right? So you, during the weekend, you can still get matched up with, say, in PvP or dungeons, whatever. You can still get matched up with someone who's playing the new class or playing a new variant of a class you already have. So you do still get to see it in action. And also they do bonuses, like bonus buffs, whenever there's a beta weekend going on, and actually really any community event going on, they do that. And I think that's a really good way for them to kind of supplement that. I still think that there should be some sort of trial for it. Like, I would much rather, I guess with World of Warcraft, like, I never tried any of those. And I mean, I'm pretty sure I'm buying Heart of the Thorns, so I'm not really that concerned with it. But I still feel like for an MMO, maybe even just take one of those weekends and let everybody try it, right? Yeah. So I think they're gonna have a total of 5 or 6. I'm not sure. This last one was the 3rd weekend, and I just think that they could take one of those and just say, all right, everybody can try it this weekend. And I think that would be pretty beneficial, because feedback is just such a huge thing, and that's what betas and alphas are all about, is feedbacks, and seeing what people think, and all these early access games that we're getting now, and that kind of thing. So
that's what I was gonna say. Is it's betas are so, like, the idea of a beta used to be that it was a stress test. It was especially for games that had servers.
Right.
And I am so tired of MMOs that come out and it's like, oh, we didn't expect this much traffic, and it's like, really? I don't believe you didn't expect this much traffic. I believe that you didn't want to work on your servers and pay people to do that, or open up new servers so that people could play the game. But like, especially for things like WoW, like every time an expansion comes out, they're overloaded. How?
Yeah.
And from a business standpoint, that makes absolutely no sense to me. And what you said with Guild Wars, I don't like that you have to pre-order to experience the beta either.
Yeah, I don't like what they're doing, but I think that they are supplementing it. So.
But I think theirs is so minor, and the fact that the game is you purchase it and you're done, it kind of makes up for a little bit for me, because like being able to play the new class is fun and everything, but that wouldn't alone make me want to pre-order. Like, that's not going to be like, oh, I got to get it out so I can play the Revenant. Like, I don't really care that much about that. And on top of that, like, once I get the game, I'm done. I don't have to sub. I don't have to do anything like that. So, for them, I would almost see it more as just a little extra. Less of a fire game.
Yeah.
From them. But from other games.
Yeah, there are bonuses other than just the early access. I can't remember what they are off the top of my head, but yeah, and then I guess with Battlefront has been doing beta. Actually, the beta, I guess technically the beta opens tomorrow. However, there were people already playing the game.
Yep.
I'm honestly not even. I don't even know.
Summit even was.
Yeah, Summit was playing, and some other streamers. I'm not really sure how, but they were. Looks really, really nice. Obviously the beta isn't the full game, so we don't get to see a ton, but it looks like a really nice game, and it looks pretty well polished. I'm really interested to see like more classes and more variants and like progression, I guess, is the biggest thing with me, is because that's what I mean. Battlefront 2, literally my favorite game of all time is Battlefront 2. Star Wars Battlefront 2 was like the epitome of like the most fun I've ever had in a video game.
Oh, yeah.
And so sad that they took down the servers. R.I.P. But like part of it was that there was no like progression. Like that's what Call of Duty did. Like that's something that Call of Duty added. That one reason that I went to Call of Duty was that I could level up my account and I could unlock new guns and do loadouts and change all that. Where I mean, yeah, there was variance with Battlefront, but it's kind of now with the new one, it's towards the Battlefield style with unlocks and loadouts and things like that, which I really like. Which obviously, because it's a dice game, it makes sense that it's going to be similar. Like I said, it looks really good. Like I mean, visually, like it looks polished and it looks nice. I only watched for a little bit today. I'm going to be watching as much like beta as I can since I'm not in the beta myself. But I mean, I'm gonna buy it regardless because it's Star Wars. I don't really care. But I'll pretty much buy. I would buy a Star Wars yarmulke if I found one. Like it's Star Wars, I'll buy it. But and I've been waiting for it. I mean, when they showed Star Wars 2033, I was so excited, and then now it's not happening, and I'm so sad. But this is going to be the one that I think brings, like, I feel like this will get people excited for more Star Wars video games, because obviously there's the hype for the movies right now. But I think that this will be kind of one that'll like bring up the video games. I would love to see another Force Unleashed style game. Because that was kind of the successor to the Jedi Knight series games, where it's like that you play as obviously a Force user and storyline and things like that. I would also love to see another Republic Commando, like not that style, but literally a Republic Commando sequel, because that's another one of my favorite games.
I'd love to see another Knights of the Old Republic.
Yep, Knights of the Old Republic. Like, I think that they could do this where in the next couple years they could release one in the same sort of style as some of the past ones. So another like first-person shooter one, another RPG, another just straight-up story-based. I don't really. What would that be called? Like the Force Unleashed. I don't really know.
I mean, in like old.
I guess it has
like I guess it would be like an adventure game.
Yeah, an adventure
really
game.
an
It has
RPG, but
it has some RPG elements, some hack and slash
Yeah.
elements. It's just an adventure game. It's a nice action adventure game with force powers. Like you get to
Yeah.
play as a Jedi. Like what's cooler than that? So I would love to see that kind of thing. It'll be interesting to see which. I mean, as far as I know, we haven't really heard anything from any developers. I mean, I would love to see BioWare work on another Star Wars RPG. I would love to see that.
Oh my god, yes.
Especially like with advancements that have come to
Oh my god, can you imagine Mass Effect with Star Wars? I mean, come on.
right, exactly, like to
what
how it
more
looks,
do
to
you
voice
need?
acting, to everything. Like
Yeah.
it would just be
Yeah.
amazing.
See, for me, what I wonder, and I wonder why they haven't done it yet, is if you think about it, this whole time before these movies, the new movies, are coming out, like Star Wars has an older audience. Like they don't only have to tailor to kids anymore,
Right.
like at all. And I mean, it always has, but like now, I mean, most of the kids that really love Star Wars are adults. Like, I mean, they'd eat up an RPG that was set in the Star Wars universe. I mean,
Oh yeah.
and it's also interesting what you said about the progression in Battlefront, because that is going to be literally, I mean, I'm the same way. It's a Star Wars game. I'll buy it. But that is going to be the selling point to how much I enjoy the game.
Right. Replayability.
100%,
Replayability. Yeah.
Because that's like the one good thing from Call of Duty that I still remember was it was so much fun to set up your classes and you felt unique in some way. And like and same thing with Battlefield. I mean, well, every time like you saw that sniper rifle, you wanted it so bad, and you had to get these many points, and like you finally got it, and then you just felt great using it, and you get the attachment.
And I think from what I saw today, I think they're pulling a little bit of the like Dirty Bomb, where they have like loadout cards, but I don't think it's as severe. Like I think Dirty Bomb actually is kind of a cool system, the way you unlock the cards and stuff like that. However, it can be pay to win. Like, yeah, you can get everything just by playing the game, but you could also just buy it if you wanted to, and that is kind of lame. But I think those kind of progression systems are a little bit lacking. I mean, I've always enjoyed Call of Duty for that, like getting to the next thing to get and then individual unlocks within each piece and everything like that. Like it felt like you were really working towards something.
Right.
And I think that's the biggest draw point of RPGs and MMOs and stuff like that, is that you're working towards something, right? Like you're working towards end game and you want to finish it. So a game like Battlefront, which it'll have a story and I'll play the story, but the replayability of unlocking things and not just playing with my friends, because playing with my friends will obviously be a big part of it, but being able to have something like a goal to achieve other than just achievements is definitely a big selling point for me. So yeah.
And I mean, I'd like to see, honestly, with Battlefront, I would like to see them, even if they just took the not the Dirty Bomb style, but the what you said with the cards, just have like some base classes like Battlefield did.
Right.
And then you be able to work around inside those.
Mm-hmm.
Like that would be fine, because then you don't have like the soldier with the sniper rifle, and I don't want to see that, because that's the one thing I didn't like about Call of Duty was, the guy's running around everywhere, but he's using a sniper rifle. Doesn't
I
mean, it was fun.
So variants make sense. Like if you want to be able to be a sniper that's not necessarily just gonna sit in one spot, like you can move around, but like the extremes are kind of like a hassle. So I feel like being able to have the base classes for sure will make sense, which I think is how it is. I didn't watch as much as I probably should have, but yeah, because I mean Battlefront 2 was all about like which class you had. That was the depending on how you wanted to play, you picked a class and that's how it played, which is nice. But then again, this will add more uniqueness to how you want to play and stuff like that, so it'll be really nice. And then the other beta, Rainbow Six Siege. So new Rainbow Six game, sick with it. Rainbow Six Vegas 2 was the last one I really enjoyed. That game was awesome. Super fun. and just the multiplayer was competitive and it felt good and everything. Storyline was great. Rainbow Six Siege.
I'm just gonna put it out there, not a fan.
I think when I first heard about Rainbow Six Siege, I was like, "Holy crap! This sounds amazing on paper." A competitive, breach and clear, round by round shooter made by Tom Clancy, or well, not made by Tom Clancy, but under the Tom Clancy IP.
Right.
But I've been watching the game and I am not all that intrigued. It seems incredibly repetitive. I feel like there's just balancing issues as far as maps go. Like, people are pretty much going to do it seems like people are pretty much going to do the same thing every single time. And that bothers me a lot. And loadouts are pretty basic. Like, yeah, there's some changes you can do and stuff like that. But, I mean, the guns, I think it's going to be like, oh, this gun's OP. Everybody's going to use it.
Yep. Which is one of the things that I really loved about Vegas, too, was the customization of the characters. And, like, you know, you made your guy look how you wanted with the camos and your armors and your weapons. And, like, that doesn't really seem like it's there, really. And,
has there been another? Yeah, there was. Wasn't that? Yeah, there was another Rainbow Six, wasn't there? Since then,
there was I don't think so. I think that was the
not?
last one.
I thought there was. I thought there was one in between.
I could be wrong about that, but I feel like the two Vegas games were kind of like the end of.
Yeah. Which is so I like I said, like I was like, oh, sweet, new Rainbow Six, but I'm just not like, if I can get my hands on it somehow, I will definitely play it, and then if it changes my mind, we'll see. But from the beta and alpha and stuff like that, it seems not all that like, it just doesn't have that thing to pull me in, you know.
Well, I feel like that comes from us too, being like, we like competitive games, and all I see when I look at that game is, wow, these maps look like, yeah, they're like, the maps look cool, but it just seems like a lot of filler. Like, I mean, you're gonna go the same way, and if it's not the same way, you look and see their strategy and just alter it a little bit. Like, and I guess that can be argued for things like Counter-Strike, but Counter-Strike has such a high skill ceiling, and it has such a, like, you get to play around with the map, I feel like, a little more. Yeah. Which is odd, because all they talked about was how you can play about with the map with this, but...
Which could be true. Like, I've only seen a couple of the maps, I guess, but it still feels like once people figure out the one or two ways to go, like, that's pretty much going to be it. Like, with games like Counter-Strike, like, for most of the maps, like, yeah, there's two sites, and yeah, there's probably, you know, maybe 3 or 4 ways, like general ways, but pretty much all of those ways is going to have different, like, ways that you can branch off or switch, or, you know, pull a switcheroo on someone, or, like, just different ways you can use things, and it just makes sense.
Do you think that's caused by the tools that they implemented into the game? Do you think that's part of it? Like, I feel like
kind of
sledgehammer being used, and I'm like,
yeah, so, like, you can board up windows, but then you can just break the board up in, like, 3 seconds, so it's really not that much of an obstacle. Like, yeah, it helps for detecting, like, if you see a wall breaking, like, you're gonna start shooting, but it seems like the tactical parts of it aren't really that tactical. Like, they don't really take...
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
It doesn't really, like... I guess, like I said, on paper, it seems really cool. I'm just not really sure right now, so...
I've always felt like people hate Counter-Strike. People that don't like Counter-Strike are people that don't... Like, they want to aim down their sights. And I do appreciate that in games. But in all honesty, like, competitive-wise, it makes me really interested when you can do that. And I think that's just because I'm a Counter-Strike player, so it's a bias.
Right.
But I just feel like for Rainbow Six, the difference it has is, like, if I'm playing Rainbow Six, the first thing I'm going to think is, okay, we found out where the guys are, so we're going to go this way. We'll knock the wall down, throw a grenade, and run in there and just spray everywhere. Like, I can just see that happening. You know what I mean? Oh, they're not in this room? Frag the next room. Spray that one. And, like, it feels like that's what's going to ruin it for me. It's not, you know, all the ideas are cool, but I just feel like calling it competitive when you have all those tools at your disposal, it just makes it seem a little weird, like, to me. I don't know. Maybe if there was a way that every round you could earn or gain like bonuses because you won a round, so that, like, you know, you started off like nothing, and then whoever's winning more gets that, and if they lose a lot of money, like Counter-Strike, and it has some like counterplay to make people play more safe. That would make more sense to me. But right now it just seems like everybody goes in fully loaded and just goes ham.
Yeah, you just kind of go at it, and then whoever comes out on top comes out on top. It'll be interesting to see, like, how if it does have a competitive scene that does evolve, how it does do so. Not really sure. Like, to me, it doesn't really seem like it'll draw that big of a crowd, but we'll see for sure. It'll be interesting. All right, well, that's pretty much it for now. Unless if you have anything else you want to add.
I think we covered most of the big stuff's going on. I'm just waiting for The Witcher.
Right, and waiting for nothing. Just going at it. All right. Well, whether you're listening or watching, thank you if you've made it this far. Go ahead and, if you want to, hit like or subscribe or comment or whatever, and we'll have links to social media and whatnot below. All right.
You.